We made a short film about an evil vinyl record.
Here's how we did it. This is
Written by.
Evil Vinyl 1982. It's finally out.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, like this was supposed to be out a couple months ago because we did it as just like a quick thing to just put out real quick to meet our because we've been trying to do a short film every single month, and we have. We just haven't been putting them out every month.
yeah. Partly for the reason we didn't put this one out right away is it ended up being a lot better than even we thought it was going to be.
And so it's like, well, let's spend a little time and actually get this to where it can be.
Yeah, because stuff like this has a lot of potential at some of these horror festivals. We put it in a festival.
Yeah,
it screened at one, and it got a great reaction.
It did. So I guess you start because you kind of just came up with this one the day before we shot it.
That's pretty much how it happened. We realized we had gotten 3 weeks into the month without starting a film. But we technically had that first cut done at the end of the month. So
yeah, it counts.
We met our criteria. But yeah, I was like, we need to turn out something really quick. And so I was just trying to think of what do we have access to? And the old adage, write what you know. And it's well, what I know is I have a YouTube channel where I talk about music on the same set where we shot that actual film of Chase being a YouTuber talking about music. That film is shot in my apartment. That record collection is mine. Chase is wearing my Spinal Tap shirt. So
and your glasses.
Yeah. So Chase is just essentially playing me, but not very flattering.
Yeah, that's what's really funny about it is, you essentially were just it could be perceived as you were recording a video one day and you were like, oh, what if this vinyl just sucked me into hell?
Yeah. So I mean, that idea, actually going deep into Robert lore, is I've been wanting to do an 80s period piece horror for a really long time, and I'm still trying to do it, but a lot of other people are doing 80s throwbacks right now. Even the most recent Ty West horror was an 80s period piece.
Stranger Things' his last recent season was very it's just because you're very fascinated by the satanic panic in particular.
That's what I'm getting at is this was kind of a cool way on a lower budget to do the type of 80s horror I wanted to do, but still set in modern day, because it's this artifact that comes from the 1980s. Because I've done so much research into this because I'm fascinated about the intersection of music and the religion and the conservative backlash to art back in that day. And there was this huge panic about how all of these metal musicians in the 80s were satanic, and they were sneaking in secret messages that were recorded backwards in the music. And if you listen to them, it could even cast a spell and make you do terrible things. And tapping into my religious background, where you kind of grow up anxious about hell. This is kind of a film where it's what if all that is true, to the biggest degree, the craziest preacher preaching against metal music at the time. What if he's
100% right? And by listening to the music, it could send you to hell. Not in the future, right now.
Yeah. There's one of Tom Hanks's first movies. I think it's Castles and Cauldrons. It's either no, that might be the Adventures in Odyssey anti-D&D. I don't know, but one of Tom Hanks' first movies is one of these 80s satanic panic movies where it's about why Dungeons and Dragons is evil, and if you play Dungeons and Dragons, you're flirting with witchcraft and it's going to make you go crazy.
Oh dang.
And that was Tom Hanks's first lead role.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was Money Pit or something, or Bosom Buddies. What was that show?
No, he was doing Christian propaganda.
Dang, for real?
Yeah.
So the movie wasn't it wasn't talking about it. It was a from that Christian propaganda point of view?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Which, like, this was taking inspiration from that movie, but, like, from the lens of, like, isn't it ridiculous that this type of thing could be true? But, like, yeah, the Tom Hanks movie, like, very much it means it is, like, this is why you shouldn't play Dungeons and Dragons.
Dang, dude. I bet that movie could play on the Chick-fil-A streaming service.
Exactly. Yeah, they could reboot that. What actor? Who's Olivia Rodrigo's ex that became super Christian? Yeah, that's who would star.
That is who would star.
Yeah,
100%. I can't remember his name, but 100%.
Yeah, get the guy from Impulsive.
Oh, George Janko?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruslan will make it. We're getting off track. Evil Vital.
So you came up with the idea. You wrote the script pretty much the day before we shot it. We got our buddy John, who also shot the Into the Sun short that we did this year.
Yep.
And a music video that we did this year.
Yeah.
And we just shot most of it at your apartment.
Yeah. It was one of the smallest crews I've worked with in a while, and it was a lot of fun. It was just like the three of us, my friend Alan, who also appears,
and then John's wife showed up.
Yeah, John was Nikki. Yeah, I mean, John's just a good DP like that. He's very flexible with whatever he has available
and
to
it
him.
Also helped. There's a part in the short where it's got to like the camera has to like be directly over and John is like jacked, dude.
Yeah,
he's like a physical specimen, and so he's just like holding this camera rig up there and like not moving.
Yeah, it was too sketchy for like a tripod or a C-stand situation.
Yeah.
So like they are just like holding that for 2 minutes.
He's just holding it, dude.
Yeah, no, he's a beast. But yeah, again, taking inspiration from 80s horror, like all the effects are super, super practical
and cheesy.
And if it wasn't taking like that kind of 80s inspiration, it would look really bad. But I think like since it has that tone to it, just like really when the room is spinning, it's just John going like this and I'm speeding the footage up.
Yeah. And there's the part where the room's spinning, I'm against the wall, and the picture behind me falls down, and that's literally just we took some string, and Robert's off camera and just pulls it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, like Nikki has the leaf blower.
Leaf blower, yeah,
right in your face. I was surprised by how effective the leaf blower wind was.
We ended up using it again on the next short we did, which I don't know is out yet.
Yeah,
so we're not going to talk about it, but we ended up using the leaf blower a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, you add shake, you add that wind, that extra bit of the environment, the picture falling off, and then your performance, like I think makes it all come together.
Yeah, and it wasn't supposed. So your idea behind it was that you were watching a lot of like horror shorts on YouTube, and you noticed like all of the ones that like get noticed are not the super deep like. Yeah. There's something behind it. It's usually just like there's a monster and it's scary.
Yeah, dude. This is what because honestly, like this film almost like takes a lot of inspiration from these bigger projects I have, like. Mm-hmm. My 2 horror features, this horror short I'm trying to like get funding for.
Yeah.
But I had been watching a lot of like horror shorts trying to like get in that zone because I want to take like the horror about music like to a whole nother level. But what I've realized like watching all these horror shorts is narratively they kind of function a little different. Like I found out the best ones, the ones that people like the most and get the most views, like essentially the monster is the main character. Like there's the monster is the one with the goal. He's trying to like kill someone, trap someone, whatever. And the main character is just like who that's victim. Happening to.
Yeah.
Like the most characterization that happens in like these short 5-minute horrors is that maybe the main character just for whatever reason is super not prepared for whatever the monster has, or has a reason to be even more scared than most people of the monster. But the monster is like the active hunter in the situation.
It's the character that actually has a arc.
Yeah. It's very like completely out of left field, but I was watching a video about this today. Ferris Bueller almost functions the same way, because the movie is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You think of Ferris as the main character, but it's actually the other guy. Yeah, Cameron goes through all the changes,
and Ferris is the monster.
No. Cameron would be the monster. Like Ferris, things just like happen to him.
I just meant like, because people talk about that movie, talking about how like Ferris is supposed to be his best friend, but he just kind of like antagonizes him the whole movie.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, what was how did you prepare this character? Because you just told me you were gonna come in with something fun. And then...
Well, that was the thing, is because I didn't expect it to go as well as it did. Like, that's not a knock on us and our abilities, I don't think.
It came together. It was so
last minute. We just kind of wanted something fun and short and goofy.
Yeah.
So that we could throw it out quickly. And so I was like, I'm just gonna take a big swing with the character. I think up to that point, I had never really done like a voice.
Yeah.
For one of our shorts, except from maybe Troubled Date, because I did like a different laugh and everything. Yeah. And so I just kind of like, I changed my posture. I wanted him to be a lot nerdier. I kind of had a higher voice register, and I just wanted him to be nerdy. I just wanted him to be like a nerdy guy in his room talking about music. Not saying that you are.
Nah, I get it.
But so like, I guess like psychologically behind it, because going off of what you just said, where the character really doesn't get a lot of like we don't build establishing like who this person is and then why. So it's just kind of like pity. So it's like, if he's nerdy and so scared and just screaming and terrified, you feel bad for him. And so that way there is that like emotional resolution at the end when you see what happens to him, because you're like, oh, I liked that guy. Even though we don't show anything likable about him, you feel bad for him.
Yeah. It goes to him just being uniquely unprepared for the situation, because there are a lot of metalheads that are jacked, but
right. But in this case,
you can't have someone that's gonna punch the devil back.
Dude, this is off track. But when I used to wrestle, like professional wrestling, and there was this wrestler. His name was Dirty DeChico, and he wasn't shredded. He was just like a big old boy, and he was just like, he was from New York, but he was just kind of like a country boy. And he was just like the biggest badass I'd ever met. He would just like chain smoke cigarettes and just say like proverbs. And one day he was talking about religion, and he was just like, I'm not religious. And I was like, well, what if you go to hell? And he just went, I'd kick the devil's ass. And like he meant it. And I just remember being like 16 and being like, holy. Anyway.
A fun fact I remembered about Chase's performance is originally the opening vlog sequence was a little too long, and we wanted to make it more interesting.
Oh, man.
Pretty much every moment in the opening where Chase's character messes up is him flubbing the lines for real.
So what was so bad is there was this one like acronym. What is it?
Oh, okay. The PMRC.
The PMRC.
Which in the 80s, it was like the parental something music control or whatever. Yeah. But there was this group of parents funded by Republican politicians that tried to like enforce what people could put in music. They were like terrified of metal music and Prince and everything.
Yeah.
And it was this big to do. The lead singer of Twisted Sister testifies to the Senate, like in full metal garb, huge hair, everything. So it's a huge moment in like pop the history of that music and the Satanic Panic. So that's why I was like, this has to be in here.
I could not get the acronym right. Like literally, I could do every line in that, because it was essentially just a big monologue for about a minute or two to start off the short. And I didn't have a single problem with anything in that monologue except for that acronym. I would say PMAC, YMCA, like I could not get it. And it got to the point where I was like, Robert, can I please stop? And you were like, no, you got to say it. Yeah. And so we had it like written on a board in big letters. I still couldn't get it.
Yeah. Which eventually you did say it, but we ended up using the take where you look off at the board. But it led into the humor a lot. That was a good Gunnar note, which Gunnar also, we originally had me doing the demon, but we brought Gunnar in to do that, and he added so much to it.
Yeah, Gunnar, you guys have seen him in pretty much all of our stuff. If you don't know who we're talking about, here's something on the screen.
Yeah.
But Gunnar's a great person to work with because he's so enthusiastic. So like he didn't know we were shooting this, and then we sent him the first cut, and he was like over the moon. He was just so excited about it. So then when you have someone who's like excited about something that, like, I don't know, it's very rare that someone is excited for someone else on something that they didn't work on necessarily. Yeah. And so when you bring someone like that in to give notes and to see how to make it better, it's just like 100 million times better than just someone who doesn't really care.
Yeah. And then Gunnar also brought his composer Eric was who did the metal music. I originally like had some just royalty-free music I found, but it wasn't quite cutting it. And we thought about like going to a composer or someone, but Gunnar was like, no, the composer I work with is a metalhead, and he makes all this guitar music. He sent me something the other day, and so dude just had those tracks ready, and those are two different tracks I just combined together.
And it's so good. It worked perfectly.
Yeah, I found out through this movie that there are a lot of metalheads out there that I didn't know were metalheads. Like I'll send it to people, and they're like, "Oh man, I love this."
Dude, is that? And then just start an obscure reference, and you're just like, I guess. When we were filming it, we didn't play music out loud.
Yeah.
So I'm just like bobbing my head to a tempo that I just made up.
Yeah.
And it actually went together with the music.
I think it works with your character. Like I wouldn't say that that's a guy that would naturally have rhythm. So to just hear it go boom, 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 if it doesn't naturally match up, it still works.
So now let's talk about probably the most difficult part of this short.
Yeah.
Which is all the screaming.
Well,
I didn't have a voice.
For you. Yeah.
I didn't have a voice for a week, dude.
Yeah, because you screamed for real in the original take, but of course the leaf blower is going, so we can't use that.
Right. So then we ADR'd it the like next day.
Yeah, which we were rushing this out for this festival deadline.
Yes.
So we got a first cut done like a day and a half after shooting.
Yeah. So we shoot it this day. The next day we ADR it. Like the next week, we ADR it again.
Yeah, because your voice was shot and we had to do it again.
And so I had just gotten my voice back. We did it again. My voice was gone for another week.
Yeah.
And then the next short we shot, I'm screaming again.
I'm going to just keep making you screaming more and more. You're not going to have a voice like period by the end of the year.
What is really funny, though, is like that was one of the things that I always felt like I needed to work on was like screaming. Because when we did a short film a few years ago called Single with Fangs, and I scream at the beginning of that. And ever since we did that, I don't like that scream. I'm like, come on, Chase, you couldn't have screamed better than that. And then now this year, I'm getting my practice in.
Yeah.
So a majority of the short takes place in your apartment, but the end of the short, which we actually shot first, takes place in a studio for to be kind of like hell. We just kind of a blacked out studio.
Yeah, and there's some light VFX to kind of make it more dark. That is like the studio floor though, and I just like with the red lights reflecting off it. I don't know. It had a look that worked for me. Like, I don't think you would look at that and think, oh, that's a studio floor. Some
studio floor.
It looks like charcoaly. It's like when like
it's like almost
grills
like
on fire.
Cackly.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was really cool. We just blasted a bunch of red light. John had the camera on a tripod. And,
we got Alan in there. We just smeared some blood on his face.
Yeah. Oh, just ketchup from Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, man. Another thing about this is I had so much fun making the album art for the vinyl, which is like we got that photo of Alan that morning because he came in. We needed his wardrobe, but we accidentally printed it the wrong size. It's a little too big. Yeah, it's just a little too big. So I'll flash like the full like actual album art because there's some cool details. There's like people with guitars falling, but we still managed to get Alan and that dragon, which is just like an iguana. It just
we just cut it slid into the front of the record, and then we did the same for mine. And that was really interesting. We couldn't get any of the things that, like, nothing went right prop wise. We were running out of time. We had just the morning to get everything done. Yeah. We went to Staples or whatever to get it printed. It was way too big. Yeah. Then we went to Party City to get fake blood, which I had bought a million times from there before.
Yeah.
They didn't have any. I asked the lady standing there, I was like, hey, do you guys have any fake blood? And she was like, what? Like, I was an idiot for wondering where the fake blood was at.
Yeah.
And she was like, we don't have that.
Yeah. But lucky enough, a church we had worked for just did a film about Jesus.
That's right.
It was their Easter thing, and blood dripped down his face. And so
I thought we used ketchup. That's really funny.
No,
I forgot about
blood.
that.
Yeah. We were going to use ketchup, which I'm glad we didn't, because it would have been really sticky.
It would have. So, yeah. I don't know.
Sound design.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. And just like probably the most fun, but also like the thing that took the longest was getting the sound design right on this. Because like a film about music, like it definitely requires a lot more care on that end. And then we also have to sell the idea that the room is spinning, which...
Yeah.
I just looked up every single wind and tornado sound I could think of, and I tried to do some like panning stuff. It might be like too much in the background, but I tried to have like a whoosh here and a whoosh here and all that.
I'm sure if like you were wearing headphones when you watched it, it would be more noticeable.
Yeah. But like overall though, like I don't think we expected to enjoy this film as much as we ended up, but it hit that perfect line where it's like it's super goofy and fun to watch, short, so it's easily accessible. But there is kind of like an emotional backbone to it where it's like I'm really attached to that storyline. I'm really attached to both like the music culture and also like the like conservative fear around that music. That was in the 80s, but also like you see that like same type of attitude like permeate like at all points. Yeah. So like all that came together, and we have just a really fun short about an evil vinyl record.
About a record that when you play it, because I think most of this got cut from the opening monologue, but there is more lore to it.
Yeah, there is. We could make it a bigger thing if anyone was like, hey, we like this a lot. Like there's room for,
because it was like is it a super rare record? Yeah. The last person who had it or something like that was never like disappeared or something like that. And it's very subtle.
So record collectors though, he talks about the record was logged on Discogs.
That's right.
He messaged the seller and there was no response. He like searches the seller and finds out that he died.
And it's like, oh, that's weird. And then he just stumbles upon the record at a thrift store.
Yeah.
And then my favorite moment, maybe other than the screaming, but my favorite moment from the short is when he's like super excited about the backwards voices and everything, and he's like, whoa, this would be really scary to someone in the 1980s. And then it says his name, and he just goes, what the fuck?
I think, is that our first F-bomb we've dropped? I feel like
it's the first one I've dropped. Detective Crump drops one at the end of Strangler.
But yeah, that's a big deal. You know, it's like in a PG-13 movie, like they're very selective about where it goes, and we've been holding off on it for like 4 years. We just
very clean most of our stuff.
Yeah.
Just recently we've started dabbling into the dark arts, you know?
Yeah.
Well, mostly because I think most of the time it was just because the people we were working with for most of the stuff we're like a clean image.
We also used to have a lot more children that listened to us, but
now no one listens to us.
Well, we aren't a podcast anymore, we're a production company.
We're just sending this stuff out into the stars, baby. Ain't nobody listening. No, but thank you for listening. Thanks for watching and clicking that subscribe.
I feel like I had another thing. I think I lost it though.
We didn't really have any VFX.
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
You talked about sound.
Have you seen Spinal Tap? Have we talked about this? You still haven't seen Spinal Tap?
No, I haven't.
Okay. You need essential 80s movie.
Yeah.
One of the funniest movies. I have it on DVD.
Word. Is it not on streaming?
I think you would have to rent it. I don't think it's...
Man, what is going on?
I know, right?
But, yeah.
Yeah. Guys, Thank you so much for watching Evil Vinyl 1982. We have been shooting one short film a month this year. We're a little backlogged on releasing, but we do have another one that should be out in the next month. But you know,
dude, we've been working on some of the coolest projects I've ever worked on this year. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been a super exciting year, and thank you guys for watching the stuff that we make.
Namaste.